I've seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlyn. I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're going to prove her, we're going to show her what the W really is. I'm like, what are people doing? It's just too much.
The WNBA has always been a stage for both athletic brilliance and raw emotion. But what happened after the Indiana Fever's playoff victory over the Atlanta Dream sent shockwaves across the league? Instead of post-game celebration, fans were left stunned as Sophie Cunningham found herself in the middle of a tense confrontation with security, an exchange that spiraled into headline news. What exactly did Sophie do? Why did her response shake the sports world so deeply? And what does this moment reveal about the WNBA itself? Let's break it down. This wasn't just a clueless guard overreacting, flexing authority in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, this moment peeled back the curtain on something deeper. A pattern. A troubling one the WNBA has shown before. Certain players, especially those who don't fit the league's polished, preferred image, end up facing far more scrutiny than others. And let's be real, the WNBA has a history of letting drama overshadow pure competition. When you view Sophie Cunningham's standoff through that lens, it stops looking random. It looks targeted. What made it even more surreal was Sophie's response. Calm, steady, unshaken. She didn't lash out. She didn't fold. She locked in with that signature glare, the one fans know all too well, and refused to be intimidated by someone acting more like a hall monitor than a professional security guard. Here's why that mattered. This night should have been pure celebration. The Fever, despite being shorthanded, missing Caitlin Clark for stretches, Ari McDonald, Sydney Colson, Chloe Baby, Damaris Dantas, and even Sophie herself at times, still pulled off a dramatic playoff win. The energy inside the arena was electric. Fans were on their feet, players were hyped, adrenaline was pumping. And then came the disruption. Cameras captured Sophie, visibly sore and slowed by injury, suddenly confronted like she was a threat. No scuffle, no violation, no reason. Yet she was aggressively leaned on by a guard determined to create conflict. The optics were awful. Sophie's face told the entire story. First confusion, then irritation, then the glare that's become her trademark. That clip hit social media within minutes, and within an hour it was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And the outrage was instant, not at Sophie, at the league, at the absurdity. Fans didn't see enforcement. They saw harassment. And just like that, the same frustrating narrative that's trailed Sophie for years came roaring back. Sophie Cunningham versus the narrative. How did Sophie Cunningham, one of the WNBA's most fearless competitors, end up branded the villain? Many fans believe the answer is simple. She doesn't play by the league's rules. She doesn't soften her personality. She doesn't hide her edge. Sophie speaks her mind, challenges narratives, and plays with unapologetic swagger. That's exactly why fans love her. Clips of her fire trend regularly on social media. Her highlights rack up millions of views. Her fanbase is loud, loyal, and one of the strongest in women's basketball, WNBA business metric. Sophie is good for the league. Yet instead of embracing her, the WNBA seems determined to frame her as a problem, a disruptor, a villain who refuses to fit their mold. And fans are calling it out. Twitter and Instagram lit up with accusations of double standards. Some pointed to culture and race, noting that if Angel Reese or Paige Buchers were in Sophie's shoes, the framing would have been different. Sophie's defiance was painted as negative, while others' similar fire would have been praised as leadership. Hashtags like #FreeSophie and #WNBExposed began trending within hours. The backlash wasn't quiet, it was deafening. And here's the kicker. Through it all, Sophie never escalated. She didn't scream. She didn't shove. She didn't create a scene. She simply stood her ground with composure that put the security guard to shame. That's why the video spread so fast. The drama wasn't her doing. It was built around her. The real question now. Will this force the WNBA to finally confront its double standards? Or will Sophie keep being cast as the league's villain? Connecting the dots to understand how we got here, you have to look at the bigger picture. Sophie's clash with security wasn't isolated. Take Dana Carrington's case. When referees claimed they felt uneasy around her, the league immediately issued statements. Security got involved. The players' union defended her. It was handled like a matter of fairness. Now, compare that to Sophie. No official statement. No union defense. No league backing. Just silence. The only support came from fans online calling out hypocrisy. That silence spoke volumes. This is bigger than one guard overstepping. It's about how the WNBA selectively chooses when to defend its players. And often, the ones who don't fit its carefully crafted image are left on an island. The Caitlin Clark parallel makes this even clearer. Since her rookie season, Clark has been hacked, shoved, taunted, and officials swallow their whistles. Fans see it. Clips go viral. And yet, the league shows little urgency to protect arguably its biggest star. Sophie's journey mirrors Clark's in a different way. She's long been painted as the villain, the agitator, the one fans are pushed to boo. Both players, though, bring exactly what the WNBA claims it wants: star power, personality, attention. And yet both are left exposed in different ways. The fallout this is why Sophie's confrontation matters. It's not just about one tense moment. It's about what that moment revealed. Instead of embracing her edge, the league once again tried to cast her as trouble. Instead of defending her professionalism, they stayed silent. And fans noticed. The viral outrage wasn't simply anger over a single clip. It was built on years of frustration. A pattern where outspoken or non-conforming players get scrutinized harder, punished harsher, and supported less. And that's why Sophie Cunningham's glare resonated so strongly. It wasn't just defiance toward a guard. It was defiance toward the entire narrative. A refusal to fold under a spotlight designed to cast her as the villain. What comes next? The question now is whether the WNBA can afford to keep mishandling stars like this. The league says it wants growth. It says it wants mainstream respect. But every time it allows drama like this to overshadow the game, it sabotages itself. Sophie Cunningham is a star. She trends. She sells. She draws fans in. And yet she's treated like baggage instead of an asset. The confrontation in Indiana wasn't just another viral moment. It was a mirror held up to the league's insecurities. Because if celebrating Sophie Cunningham's fire is seen as too risky, if protecting Caitlin Clark is somehow too controversial, then what exactly is the WNBA building toward? The fans are speaking loudly, and the league can't keep ignoring it. Until then, Sophie Cunningham remains what she's always been: fearless, unapologetic, and unshaken by whatever labels people throw her way. Whether the league chooses to embrace that or not is a different story. The WNBA has always been a showcase of athletic brilliance and raw emotion. But what unfolded after the Indiana Fever's victory over the Atlanta Dream wasn't just another highlight of postseason grit. It was a moment that exploded into controversy. At the center stood Sophie Cunningham, suddenly locked in a surreal standoff with arena security. Instead of fading into the background, she responded with the poise and bite that have defined her career. Within minutes, the confrontation went viral, sparking outrage, debate, and a familiar question. Why does this league keep targeting Sophie Cunningham? Let's be clear, this wasn't about a random security guard overstepping boundaries. Fans saw through that instantly. The incident revealed something deeper, a troubling pattern that has followed the league for years. Certain players, those who don't fit the WNBA's polished preferred image, are subject to scrutiny, marginalization, and treatment their peers never face. Sophie Cunningham, once again, became the lightning rod. What made the moment so striking wasn't just the confrontation itself, but the setting. This was supposed to be a celebration. The Fever had just secured a dramatic playoff when, despite missing key pieces of their rotation, the arena was electric, fans on their feet, adrenaline coursing, the kind of night every league dreams about marketing. Yet, instead of victory headlines, the story shifted to security treating Sophie like a threat. She was wearing a leg brace, barely able to sprint, and yet she was leaned on as if she were a danger. The optics were terrible. The timing worse. Sophie's reaction told the whole story. First confusion, then irritation. Finally, that unmistakable Cunningham glare, equal parts defiance and amusement. She never raised her voice, never escalated, never gave the league ammunition. But the cameras caught everything. And within minutes, the clip spread like wildfire. Fans didn't see enforcement, they saw harassment. They saw a pattern. Because this wasn't isolated. The WNBA has shown selective memory before. Obvious flagrant fouls against Caitlin Clark ignored. Angel Reese protected for far less. Different players, different narratives, depending on whether they fit the league's image. The selective outrage, the selective enforcement, it's chipped away at the WNBA's credibility season after season. And Cunningham's confrontation was just another example of a league failing to support its own stars. For Sophie, this wasn't new territory. She's been branded the league's villain for years. Why? Because she doesn't bend. She doesn't soften her personality or mask her emotions to fit the script. She's outspoken, fiery, unfiltered. And for that, she's been targeted by rival fans, critical media, and now it seems even by league staff. Yet, ironically, those very qualities make her marketable. Sophie is magnetic because she's real. She says what others tiptoe around. She plays with a fire that feels authentic. She trends on Twitter. Her clips rack up TikTok views. And her interviews generate more conversation than players the league deliberately pushes. And yet, she's rarely in league promos. Rarely spotlighted. Rarely celebrated. Instead, she's treated as an afterthought until controversy puts her front and center. Then, instead of being framed as a passionate competitor, she's painted as a problem. Fans see the hypocrisy. When Angel Reese gets chippy, it's swagger. When Sophie does, it's villainy. When Paige Bucher shows fire, it's leadership. When Sophie shows it, it's unsportsmanlike. Those double standards are impossible to ignore. The fallout after this latest incident wasn't subtle. It was immediate and deafening. Fans swarmed comment sections across Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Hashtags like #FreeSophie and #WNBExposed began trending within hours. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert bore the brunt of the criticism, with fans blasting her leadership as the most embarrassing in professional sports. Some even called for her resignation. The message was clear. Fans are tired of the league creating drama instead of celebrating basketball. And here lies the league's fatal irony. Clips that dominate social media aren't buzzer beaters or miracle shots. They're moments of league dysfunction. Players harassed, marginalized, or left unprotected. Casual fans who tuned in to see Caitlin Clark's historic rookie season or Indiana's unlikely playoff fight ended up watching Sophie Cunningham clash with a glorified mall cop. To outsiders, it looked like a league obsessed with controversy instead of competition. That perception is poison to growth. Still, the irony runs even deeper. The very qualities that make Sophie a target in the league's eyes are exactly what make her beloved by fans. Her defiance is her superpower. She doesn't hide her nerves. She admits when she's anxious. She cracks jokes instead of delivering cliches. She shows up as herself, raw and unfiltered. That's authenticity, the currency every sports league is desperate to bottle. And instead of celebrating it, the WNBA keeps pushing her to the margins. But every attempt to silence her only backfires. The more the league leans on Sophie, the more her fan base grows. Every viral clip, every unfair headline, every double standard fuels her popularity. She's become an underdog fans rally behind, not despite the league's treatment, but because of it. People love a star who refuses to bow down, and Sophie Cunningham fits that role perfectly. Her response after the game sealed it. In the post-game interview, she didn't rant or fume. She didn't take shots at security or the league. Instead, she laughed. She grinned. And she delivered a line only Sophie could pull off. The league is so mad that we won, because we're literally not supposed to be here at all. And that just kind of fuels our fire even more. But it was so fun. Honestly, I was sweating my ass off because I was so nervous. I felt like I played with how much I was sweating. It was pure Sophie, funny, candid, real. No spin, no corporate polish. Just honesty and humor wrapped in competitive fire. And fans ate it up. Once again, the league's attempt to marginalize her only amplified her reach. The real question now is whether the WNBA will learn from this or keep repeating the same cycle. Because this goes beyond one confrontation or one player. It's about the league's future. Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark represent exactly the kind of star power the WNBA needs. Polarizing, marketable, unforgettable. They move the needle. They spark debate. They bring eyeballs to the game. But if the league continues to marginalize its most magnetic personalities, the cost won't just be bad press. It will be stunted growth. Every incident like this chips away at the foundation. Every double standard reinforces the perception that the WNBA doesn't protect its stars. And every attempt to frame Sophie as the villain only strengthens her position as one of the league's most compelling figures that in the end. The viral clip wasn't just about a security guard stepping out of line. It was about a league revealing its cracks. A league that says it wants mainstream respect, but undermines its own momentum with drama of its own making. Sophie Cunningham once again exposed that contradiction, not with words, but with a glare, a grin, and an authenticity fans can't resist. The question is no longer whether Sophie is good for business. She clearly is. The question is whether the WNBA can stop sabotaging itself long enough to realize it, because Sophie Cunningham isn't going anywhere. And every time the league tries to bury her, she only shines brighter. The WNBA has always been about more than highlights. It's about grit, heart, and the personalities that keep fans hooked. And Sophie Cunningham has become the very definition of that spirit. She isn't just surviving the league's treatment. She's thriving because of it. But here's the bigger problem. This isn't only about Sophie. It's about a troubling pattern the WNBA can't seem to shake. Take Caitlin Clark. For 2 straight seasons, she's absorbed harder fouls than nearly anyone else. Night after night, she's shoved, hacked, knocked the hardwood. Yet the whistles are inconsistent, often non-existent. Referees let the contact slide. The league shrugs. And fans are left furious at the lack of protection for the single biggest draw in women's basketball. Or look at Lexi Hull. In the playoffs, she gave Indiana game-changing moments, steals, clutch buckets, hustle that swung momentum. Fever Faithful called her a hero. But in official league coverage, she was barely mentioned. It was as if her impact didn't exist. And now Sophie Cunningham, humiliated not by an opponent or an official, but by the league's own hired security. Injured, braced, standing nowhere near play, Sophie became the target of an unnecessary confrontation. This wasn't random. It's a pattern. The WNBA wants to project a polished narrative. One league, one family, growth together. But peel back the surface, and it's messy. Leadership plays favorites, spotlighting some stars while quietly pushing others to the margins. That selective promotion isn't just unfair, it's dangerous. You can't demand loyalty from fans while mistreating the players they adore. Eventually, frustration turns to apathy. And when fans stop showing up, no flashy sponsorship or TV deal fills the void. But that's why Indiana's playoff run should have been the perfect feel-good story. Missing Clark, missing depth, the Fever still found a way to win. That was the headline. That was the moment to celebrate. Instead, it was drowned out by a security guard barking at Sophie Cunningham. The league could have highlighted Hall's defense, Aaliyah Boston's steady dominance, or Kelsey Mitchell's leadership. Instead, fans were left laughing at mop cop antics. And if moments like this keep stealing the spotlight, the question writes itself. How long before the league's mishandling of its stars causes irreversible damage? At the center of this storm is Sophie Cunningham, guilty of nothing but caring too much. She wasn't suited up. She wasn't breaking rules. She stood in a bulky leg brace, clearly injured, cheering her team. Yet somehow she was treated like she had stormed the court mid-brawl. Out of nowhere, a league-hired guard closed in as if chaos were unfolding. The message was unmistakable. Sophie wasn't being treated like a respected player. She was treated like a problem. Fans didn't need a press release to understand. They saw the clip. They watched the confrontation unfold. And they made their judgment instantly. Sophie was wronged, and the WNBA once again looked petty, heavy-handed, and out of touch. This was supposed to be a night of celebration. Indiana's unlikely playoff victory should have dominated every reel and recap. Instead, the focus shifted to a player in a leg brace being scolded like a trespasser. And that's why this moment matters, because once again, the conversation isn't about basketball. It's about the WNBA tripping over its own feet. The truth is simple. The league's growth rides on a handful of names: Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and yes, Sophie Cunningham. These are the players who drive ticket sales, headlines, and online buzz. They're the personalities who keep fans invested in a crowded sports landscape. But instead of embracing them all, the WNBA keeps playing favorites. The result? Stars like Sophie get sidelined not just on the court, but in the narrative. And every time it happens, fans notice. They connect the dots. They get angrier. And they start questioning the league itself. Because here's the irony. Sophie's so-called problem attitude is exactly what makes her a fan favorite. She's fiery, unfiltered, and unapologetically herself. She doesn't dilute her personality to fit a corporate script. That authenticity draws people in. It's why her clips trend. It's why her interviews spread faster than most league-approved soundbites. Sophie is real, and real sells. But instead of capitalizing on that, the WNBA tries to push her aside. Until, of course, something controversial happens. Then she's shoved back into the spotlight, framed as a villain, while other players in the same situations are labeled passionate or strong leaders. Fans aren't blind. They see the double standard. And here's the kicker. Every attempt to diminish Sophie only makes her stronger. The more the league tries to silence her, the bigger her platform grows. Every viral clip widens her reach. Every unfair headline rallies her fan base. She's become an underdog symbol, proof that passion and authenticity will always cut through the noise. What happens next? That depends on whether the WNBA finally learns from its mistakes. Because this isn't just about Sophie Cunningham, it's about the league itself. You can't demand mainstream respect while undermining your own stars. You can't say you're building for the future while alienating the very players who are the future. And fans? They're paying attention. They've had enough of the double standards, enough of the selective protection, enough of the drama overshadowing the game itself. The WNBA has a choice: protect and celebrate its stars, or keep tripping over its own narratives until the fans stop forgiving. What do you think? Is Sophie Cunningham really being targeted? And if so, how long before fans finally push back for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned. The storm isn't over.